Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week episode on the podcast. I'm actually interviewing today Jennifer Beadles. She is a real estate investor who specializes in multifamily rentals and doing this virtual. So there is a lot of talk here about virtual real estate investing. It's pretty easy to do on the wholesaling, but also I always say buy and hold. Getting rental passive income so you can live the lifestyle that you want to live. And Jennifer's going to share a little bit how she does that and how her lifestyle, because I know she travels quite a bit. And so it's everybody's dream to have an income, make money in real estate while traveling. So thanks, Jennifer, for being here today.
Oh, thanks, Laura. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. And I hope that we can add a lot of value to your audience.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Okay, so just let's start a little bit from the beginnings here. You mentioned that you transitioned from a W-2 job to real estate, and I know a lot of our audience are in your same situation. So tell me a little bit about your life before real estate investing and what happened to make you transition into investing?
Yeah, absolutely. So the story starts in about 2007, and I was 21 years old. I was going to college, and I was also working two jobs, really kind of trying to figure out what path I wanted to take in career and in life. As an early 21-year-old, just kind of trying to figure it out. And so I had the desire to purchase a property. I wanted to own my own home. And so that was the motivation for working two jobs so that I could have the income and have the money to actually buy my own home. And so I made that purchase a couple months after my 21st birthday. It was a complete fixer-upper, probably the worst house maybe in the entire city. But it was zoned multifamily. And so the lot was a large 1/4-acre lot, zoned multifamily, this, little dinky house that required a lot of work. And I got really excited by the possibility that this property could bring. And so after closing, I quit my job and I quit jobs and actually I also quit college and decided to get into real estate. And so I started working with a local builder and we did development projects. We were doing spec home building, some flips on the side, and also small multifamily development. And that was really exciting. I got to just kind of experience what really goes into these projects, understanding estimates for construction bids, working with the banks and the lending side, and really, was able to get a lot of experience there. Kind of flash forward, I was buying about one property a year. My husband and I were taking turns. We really didn't have a whole lot of money at that time. And so we were using like 0 down owner occupant loans or an FHA loan. We'd live in the property for a year. And then I would buy the next one, because you can get up to 10 conventional loans per person, whereas a lot of people do, they buy it together with their spouse and you can only have 10 together, or you can get 20 if you're buying separate. And so the first couple of years we did that. And then I think it was December 31st, 2009, right after we had closed on, I think it was our maybe 4th property, I decided to quit my job and go full time into real estate. And again, we didn't really have much money, didn't really have much savings. It wasn't necessarily a great time to be in real estate. But I just really wanted to focus on it full time and, just put a lot of time and effort into it. And so our first couple of projects, we were, again, trying to figure out the buy and hold while also getting enough money to continue to build and scale our portfolio. And so I raised some investor capital and we started building spec homes. And so some of our first projects were actually projects that were started and, the banks took the loan back because again, this is in the Great Recession. And so we started doing a lot of that. The downside, though, that I found to, spec home building and flipping is that it's very active and, you have to be on site almost every day. You're managing a lot of people and, you get this big paycheck at the end, which then, of course, is at a higher tax rate as well. And, you're not able to build passive income streams. And so we also got really serious in 2010 about building and scaling a rental portfolio. And the goal was that within 5 years, we would replace my husband's income and have him, retire at 30 years old at that time. And we were able to do that. He quit actually in January of 2015 and helped me on the portfolio side. So that was really kind of an interesting start. Again, the first couple of years we're dabbling, really trying to figure out what direction we wanted to go with investing.
Great. And that's also a very good lesson, what you just talked about, goals, right? So like your husband said, I want to quit my job in 2015. And a lot of our listeners do have the same type of goals. Either they're retiring or they want to quit their job. And so they're looking at real estate as their answer. So now, what piqued your interest in real estate? Why real estate?
That's a really good question. So my parents and my grandparents both owned their own businesses, entirely different businesses. My grandfather was in manufacturing. He owned a manufacturing company that manufactured airplane parts for Boeing. I was originally from Seattle, Washington, and my parents were in the retail business. And I got to witness firsthand the entrepreneurial roller coaster of owning a small business where sometimes they had freedom and other times they did not. And so their businesses were really, I would say, also, kind of dependent on the economy and what was, going on in the economy. My grandfather experienced some really challenging times in the 80s, in the 70s and the 80s with inflation. And, of course, my parents, just kind of, through the 2000s and 2008, of course. And so I really wanted to, find my own niche, and real estate just seemed to be a great opportunity where, again, you could own income producing assets. So like, to me, I view that as owning a business that is, open 24 hours a day. You have these operators, which are our property managers, who, in my opinion, charge very, very little for the job that they do. And then you get the tax benefits. And so to me, real estate is the perfect business to own, because you can leverage, the bank's money. The bank brings in 70 to 80% of the funding, to buy this real estate. So really, you just need to find, that like 20 to 30%, oftentimes from others is what I do. And then you get, the tax incentives. Of course, you get to own that piece of real estate, and it kicks off, dividends in the form of monthly cash flow for the entire ownership of that asset. And again, of course, there's a lot of tax benefits there that are sometimes, I think people that are outside of the real estate industry don't realize how powerful those tax benefits are, with the depreciation and, of course, that cost segregation and things like that. And we can get a return just on the tax savings alone, usually in first year, of like 30%. And so yeah, for whatever reason, I just gravitated towards real estate, and really, really happy that I found that path.
Great. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit, because you mentioned, like the goals, your husband was to retire in 2015. And so how did you structure, the goals, and how did you pace yourself with your real estate investing to achieve those goals? And then along those lines, what are your goals today, and what are your investments today?
Sure. Yeah. So in 2015, we really wanted to get a net cash flow of $10,000 a month to replace his income. And then, I had, of course, my own business as well. And so we were making money on that. And again, I think getting clarity is most important. And so what we did is we set that $10,000 a month goal, that net, income and cash flow from our real estate investments. And then we went back and said, okay, well, what is that? What is the average cash flow per unit? How many units do we need in order to hit this goal? And then what types of properties do we need to buy, or do we want to buy? What types of assets do we want to own? And so we just worked the numbers backwards. We didn't focus on the how. I think sometimes people think of a goal, but then immediately they say that's not possible because I don't know how. And, Tony Robbins always says, avoid the tyranny of how. And I 100% agree. And so in 2010, we even had a negative net worth. We had a couple of properties that we had purchased in 2007, 2008, 2009 that were underwater, and maybe two of them that weren't cash flowing. And so for us to say we want to net $10,000 a month in 2010, it was completely unreasonable at that time. And that's okay. I think that we need to be unreasonable with our goals. And so again, we had no idea how to get there, but we committed to the process, and we got really clear on our criteria. And then we also got very clear on the activities, the daily habits that we needed to do in order to hit those metrics. So again, that was we don't know how, but if we do this every single day, if we analyze 5 deals a day, if we make 1 offer a week, then, the number is just math, right? At that point.
Right.
So our goals today, we are going for $1 million a month in net passive income. And so, of course, we have some work to do. It's going to keep us busy for a couple of years, of course. But it's really fun. We just really enjoy the journey. We really enjoy the challenge and the creativity, but also the leverage that we can achieve through our real estate investments. We spend, maybe a handful of hours a week, just kind of on our existing portfolio that's just shy of 300 units. And we're closing on a deal today, and so we're still like actively buying. But again, we've built in some systems and processes to allow us to leverage our time, because we're also going for maximum return on investment with minimum time invested.
Definitely. Okay, so I like how you said that you reverse engineer basically the process and how you set your goals. So let's say, for example, if you want to hit $10,000 a month in passive income, okay, what's it going to take for me to get to that $10,000, right? How many leads do I need to come across and analyze? Obviously, you establish a baseline based on the type of investments in the area that you're going to invest, but then you reverse engineer from there. So that's very good. So can you share a little bit, what are your criteria that you're looking for when buying properties?
Absolutely. So my buy box looks like this. So we're looking for B class assets in A or B class neighborhoods built in 1965 or newer with double-digit pro forma returns. So typically we're going to hit that, maybe 10 to 15% cash on cash. We're looking for assets that are over $1 million. So anything under $1 million on commercial is just really difficult to finance. And then we're, strictly looking at 10 plus unit properties. I've found this kind of, niche asset type, whereas, the 10 to maybe 50 units, it's a bit too small for the larger syndicators, the people who are pooling investors' money and needing to buy larger properties, usually over 75 units. So they typically don't compete with us in the smaller, multifamily space. And then it's typically too large for your average, kind of individual investor. And so we typically don't see as much competition as you would, again, in the, maybe single family or residential multifamily space. Or, again, we're not getting the competition from the bigger guys who are looking for larger properties. And so that's really kind of our bread and butter. It's not sexy at all. These are very just vanilla, boring properties. The one we're closing on today is just a 12 unit, all 2-bed, 1-bath, about 800 square feet. Again, just very kind of boring properties that allow us to live an extraordinary life and are very highly profitable.
Great. And so, yeah, and like I said, you just follow a formula, right? So once you see something that works for you based on the areas that you want to invest, and you hit those baselines, as I say, then you just do more of that. Basically, that's it is. It doesn't have to be anything, exciting or sexy, but the numbers work. So with that said, I know you do invest virtually, right? You live in Arizona, but you invest in several states. So tell us a little bit about, how do you set up a virtual rental business?
Yeah. So the main thing is having the boots on the ground. And so I've developed a network of investor agents all across the country, and they essentially send me deals every single day. And so, as mentioned, we have that daily habit of analyzing at least 5 deals a day. And so that's where our deal flow comes in. And this started years ago. I thought, either I can build my own deal pipeline, which is really difficult to do across multi-state lines. And it can get rather time intensive and also expensive. Of course, you can leverage VAs and direct mail and things like that. So I decided I could either go down that path, or I could just tap into agents that are already doing those type of activities and just get high on their list. And so again, we develop relationships with these investor agents who then send us the deals. And we have kind of like a form and a website that they submit it to. So it's really easy, and it's kind of, same thing every time. And so we analyze deals from there. And then once we find something that really just kind of makes sense, at least from the bird's eye view level, then we'll go ahead and submit an LOI. A lot of times we'll ask, of course, for all of the financials. Sometimes the sellers will get them up front. Sometimes they want to see the property under contract before they give that, which is understandable. And so we really just follow kind of that system and process. I also have a multi-page due diligence checklist. And so every time we have a deal, it's, okay, do we check for, like property taxes, of course, the insurance, the lease audit, going through and seeing if there's, rental certifications or inspections that are required in the area. Are there city taxes? Are there county taxes? Is it in a flood zone? All of these different things. And it doesn't take very long to kind of go through that. The other thing as well is we send a full checklist to the agent that we're working with, and it's basically a picture request. And so we'll say things like, okay, stand in front of the buildings, do a 360 view, tell me what you're seeing, walk, through the neighborhood, walk me through the exterior or around the exterior of the building, go into every single unit, take a photo of every room, again, so that we can just kind of get an idea of what the condition is like. And then we also have a property manager show up at the inspection, and they give us, kind of the potential negative feedback about the property. Real estate agents are really great about telling you all of the great things. they're not so great about telling you, that the sidewalks are broken up, or, there looks like there's, some drainage issues or things like that. And so the property manager is the one that really kind of helps us, get another perspective of the property. And so basically we compile all of that, and we have folders saved in the cloud for a personal financial statement, our schedule of real estate owned that we send to the commercial lenders every time we have a new property. And it's pretty quick and easy. We basically just follow this due diligence checklist that is always growing as we expand into more states, so that we don't miss a beat. And then we work with property managers that will do project management for us. So I would say about every single property that we're purchasing, it requires some renovation. So again, we're typically buying these, B class assets, or maybe like a C class asset that's in a B class neighborhood. And our value add strategy, how we're able to achieve, double digit returns, is that we're fixing the property up, able to achieve higher rents, based on better condition. And so the property manager does all of that. So again, we have I would say most of the properties we've never seen. And so we just see pictures, and they look quite nice, and that's great, and they get the rents that we're hoping to achieve. And so everything is basically transacted with the local team through the expectations that we set up front, and then by just following our due diligence checklist.
And how do you find these property manager? That's another question we get a lot. How do I find a good property manager, in another city?
Yes. So I have a document that I'm willing to share. It's called 35 Questions to Ask a Property Manager.
Okay, great.
And so we talk to a lot of property managers. Well, the first thing is I always ask the agent, do you have a property manager that you work with? And I always interview the agent's property manager that they refer. And then number two is if it's a brand new market to us, a market that we don't own other properties, then we'll probably call 3 to 4 other property managers. We simply go to Google, and based on reviews, I kind of ignore, like angry tenant reviews. I mostly,
right.
It's like, oh, they raised the rent on me, or they didn't allow me to, waive a late fee, yada. I completely ignore those. I'm looking for other, clearly landlords that have given a review on this property manager. And so we probably interview, maybe 4, sometimes 5 property managers. until we find one that stands out. And again, what stands out to us is somebody that has the systems and processes to do and handle this project management for upfront renovations, and also somebody that buys into our execution and our business plan. I'm also looking for a property manager, of course, that has a lot of experience in the submarket that we're investing in, and that also has experience in the asset class that we're buying. So for example, you don't typically want to work with a property manager that only does new construction. If you're buying a 1990s or 1980s apartment complex, you typically don't want to work with a property manager that primarily manages single family if you're buying an apartment complex. And so there also needs to be a fit based on their experience. And then I'm also looking for a property manager that can clearly articulate the fair market rents in as is condition, and then also fair market rents in improved condition. And so, of course, we ask every property manager that we talk to, we're trying to kind of get some market data, right? Did these property managers match? Is one wildly, higher than another one? Sometimes that can be a red flag. And so we kind of look through some consistencies there. But ideally, we're finding a property manager that says, absolutely, we do project management. Here's our process. Here's the fees for that. The way that you currently sit, you could be getting, maybe 900. However, if we do kitchens, bathrooms, flooring, paint, whatever, you could get 1,200, right? Those are the kind of answers that I'm looking for when talking to these property managers.
Great. Well, it seems like you definitely have a process in place.
It sounds like a lot, but it's pretty quick.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Once you set up a process, a system, you don't have to, you just follow the same thing. It's like I tell people, when you do like a fix and flip, you kind of have a standard way of what you're going to expect to do for the area. You kind of do, if you look on HGTV, all the houses kind of look the same, right? They have the steel appliances, the white cabinets, the whitewashed floors. It seems like you follow because that works. And so the same thing with
Don't
the rentals.
reinvent the wheel.
Right, exactly. You follow the same process, makes your life so much easier, right?
Yes.
So what do you attribute your success to? What do you think it really, happened? Because it's clear that you and your husband are very successful in doing this, and are really very, you have a really good goal, and you reverse engineer from there. So it seems like you have all the right things in motion, but what do you attribute your success? What happened to really get you going?
Yeah. So I define success as actually living your best life. And so, for me, it's in the first couple of years, we had no freedom. We had no money. We really were not living our best life. And it took some awareness for us to stand back and say, well, is the flipping path or is the development path getting us to the direction that we want to go, which is ultimate freedom to live anywhere, to invest in real estate, which we love, to spend a couple of months outside the country every year. And we got a lot of no's. It was like, no, flipping doesn't do that for us. No, development doesn't do that for us. Okay, well then what will? And then we realized, well, we can take the elements that we've learned in the flipping and the development and apply it to long-term buy and hold, and that will get us there. And so I think awareness is really important. Taking a step back and asking yourself the questions of, what do I really want my investments to do for me, right? Because again, I truly believe that the purpose of investing is to improve your life. Right. And so if it's not, if it's, taking more time or causing a lot of stress, and it's really just not worth it. And then the other thing is, both my husband and I, we are relentless in the pursuit of our goals. And so when we've set our mind to something, we're all in, and we're just going to keep charging forward. And then the other, I guess, detail that I'll share is, I really believe that stress is a choice. And so things come up all of the time. I don't want to paint this like really pretty rosy picture that we buy these properties and everyone pays and everything is good and everything goes as planned, because it doesn't. And Laura, you know this, it just, it doesn't. And owning your own business and working with your spouse has its own challenges as well. And things come up, and tenants do crazy things, and property managers accidentally, get a number wrong on the rent that they were supposed to rent it for. It cost you money. And so those things come up. And so I've learned that those are just elements of owning your own business. It's not worth stressing over. It's not worth losing sleep over. And so I am very, I guess, just relaxed in that way. It's these things don't stress me out. It's just a cost of doing business. We move on, we perfect it. We add usually it's just like something that we need to add to our checklist. And then that's it. And then we move on to the next deal. And
Right.
so I would say that those habits or those mindsets are probably what has gotten us to this level, and that we continue to do it.
Great. So, along those lines, then, what do you wish you would have known in the beginning, and that you know now?
Yeah, in the early ages and days, we were really scared to go too big. We had gotten very comfortable with small residential multifamily, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. And I wish that we had the courage at that time to go bigger, because there's so many benefits to going bigger. You can kind of control the value of the asset more. The financing is so much easier. These conventional loans, it's like an endless paperwork trail of why did you live somewhere 10 years ago? Why did you deposit
Right.
this money here? And it's a lot of work. And so what I found is that it's actually less work to do these 10 plus unit properties. It's easier, in my opinion, to buy a 20 unit property than it is sometimes to buy a duplex. And that sounds sounds incorrect, but I'm telling you it's true. But in the beginning, I think we were a little bit scared. We didn't really know how the commercial loans would work. It felt weird to have this balloon payment in 5 or 7 years. And it was kind of like, well, we don't know where the market will be. It feels really comfortable for us just to lock in a 30-year loan and we're set. And then if we want to refinance, great. But I wish that we would have had the courage earlier on to go a little bit bigger. But it got us to where we're at today. And so I wouldn't change a thing.
Right. And it's a journey, right? Real estate is a journey. I always say you're never going to be in the same place at different times in your life. You're going to do different things within real estate. So it's definitely, and things are changing, you're learning, and everybody carves their own niche at the end of the day. Some people do Airbnb and short-term rentals.
Yes.
Some people like you are more into building, a sizable rental income, passive income, and so forth. So that's great. So what are 3 best pieces of advice you would give a woman who wants to succeed in real estate?
Start small, start now. You don't feel like you need to know everything. I subscribe to just-in-time learning as like a life motto. There's a lot of great content out there that wasn't available to me as a newer investor. And so anytime I don't know something or anytime something comes up, I Google it. I just-in-time learning. So that, and then I would also say, be relentless in the pursuit of the ideal life. Believe that you can achieve the lifestyle of your dreams. I think most of us get into this business because we want more freedom. And so, I hope that I've given an example that you can do it too. There's nothing unique or special about me. I just, happen to kind of fall into this a little bit by happenstance, and just kind of, took a couple of years trying to figure it out. But know that there are a lot of people out there, of course, like you, Laura, that are putting out really great content that you can learn from. But just get started. If you're, a little risk adverse, then start with a house hack, start with a live-in flip, start with something that you can just kind of get started that has low risk, that'll get you to the next level.
Yeah. And like you said, it's not like, because sometimes people, oh yeah, but she had money or investments or retirements or IRAs, but you didn't have all that, right? You kind of started, you said you even had a negative net worth, and then you started with that. So anybody really can do this, right? It's just that, like you said, start small, start with something, understand And then, as always, I always say, you want to live in the penthouse. Well, sometimes you have to start in the basement and move your way up,
100%.
So that's what you did. So yes, that's great. So how can people find out more about you? And
Yeah.
go ahead and share your information.
Absolutely. So we have a lot of resources on our website. It's called addictedtoroi.com. And so that due diligence checklist that I mentioned, it's on there. I also have a buy and hold calculator with some videos if you'd like. So you can go to our website and find some free resources there.
Great. Okay. Yeah, that addictedtoroi.com. That's a great name.
Thank
So
you.
great. Well, thanks, Jennifer. I'm sure, I'm very excited actually about this interview because I think a lot of our women relate to this, and I have a lot of them that are interested in buy and hold. So I will talk to you more about bringing more content and also see what we can do here to help our group. Great. Thanks again for taking the time today, and I will look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks, Laura, so much.
Thanks.